Hey everybody, welcome back. Episode number 15 of Rack and Rock Chronicles. It's hard to believe we're at episode 15 already. But we are definitely enjoying bringing all of these videos to you guys, and we hope you guys are enjoying them as well. So back at ATA, we met some folks that own a company based out of Tennessee. And if you watch our Facebook and Instagram post, we actually did a giveaway with these guys at the Harrisburg Great American Outdoor Show, sponsored by the NRA. And they happened to, after our conversation at ATA, made me something that I hold very special. Back in 2018, I shot a buck that I knew I shot back, but I knew he went down, so I was going to let him sit overnight and go in the next morning and get him. I made a vital mistake by not taking a weapon with me when I went to get him, besides my gutting equipment. And when I got to that buck, he stood up and took off and took me on a mile walk down to a river. And by the time I got back to my home and got my rifle, because it was during rifle season, and got down to where he was standing in the river. He thankfully was up against the bank, but he was stuck in a bush or shrub, for the lack of better terms, where he couldn't actually get out. And I knew that if I got my rifle barrel in close enough that I could extinguish him there. And the goal was for him to just fall. He was in some pretty shallow water, so I figured if he just fell down right there, I'd be able to get the branches out of the way and drag him out. And when I did that, his back legs decided to buckle, and he fell backwards into the current of the river. So I ran about 200 and change yards down the river. And ended up realizing that if I didn't jump into the river, I was not going to get this buck. So I did. It was a nice brisk 30-degree morning, and the water temperature was probably fluctuating somewhere between 26 and 27 degrees. And when I jumped in, I'm not a very big guy. And when you grab a hold of a deer that is probably weighs somewhere in the 130-pound, 140-pound range, it's not real simple to just stop and turn around and get back out. So I ended up having to drag him to an island in the middle of the river, and called my brother-in-law, and he ended up getting a hold of one of his buddies to come down and throw a rope to me to get this deer back across. And he is not a oh my god slammer ridiculous buck. He's a super nice 8-point with some odd tines, and it was just the fact that I had to jump in the river to get this deer. I am not one to just shoot a deer and let it go. So after all of this happened, it was when we hunt for food, and obviously having a buck that has a good rack or a trophy rack is a bonus. But at the same time, I was not letting him get away after all of this, disaster that I went through, let's put it that way. So when I told these guys this story, they ended up making something for me. And that buck I've aptly named the River Buck. And had him shoulder mounted last year, got him back just before this season. The mount came out great. And it's super cool to have him hanging here in the office and get to relive that memory every time I look at him. But the company that we met is a company called TAGit, TAGIT. And while they were at the Harrisburg show, another vendor that was there that was close to their booth location had come over and said, this is kind of like digital taxidermy. And what they do is they will take a picture, trail cam picture, a cell phone picture, whatever picture you can send them of your deer, front facing and quartering. They will measure out the antlers and do their magic and build you a sticker or a t-shirt or probably whatever else they can print on of your trophy. Whether it's your child's first deer and it's a spike, or it's the best buck you've ever shot. And these guys are phenomenal people, not just as in the business sense, but we've talked and they're, now what I consider close friends in the industry. So these guys are great, and what they do is this. So here is the river buck. This is one of the decals they made me. So this is the black version with the white highlights, and might be a little hard to see on camera, but this is the white version, and if I angle it just right you can kind of see the outline. So this particular one is for my truck window, which is just super cool that I can put a deer that I shot on the back of my truck, and when people ask me, well, what's the river buck, I can tell the story. This one I haven't figured out what quite I'm going to put it on yet, but I'm super happy to have it. So basically what you do is you go on into their website and you send them 5 photos, and 5 of the best photos you can get of the entire rack of the deer. And now the heads, unless it's super close, may look almost identical, and on mine it does. But obviously it's kind of a generic style head. They're doing this for the rack, so that you can have your trophy rack, whether again it's a spike, an 8-point, a 14 with a drop tine, a Pope and Young, class deer, whatever it may be. Each person has their own definition of a trophy. So whatever you want to send them, as far as a buck, they will make these for you, and the prices are extremely affordable. So, let's say you shoot your best buck, and unfortunately maybe you can't afford a shoulder mount, or you can't afford a Euro mount, and you don't want to just cut the antlers off the deer. So maybe you try to Euro mount it yourself, let nature run its course and leave it outside over time and what have you. These guys make it affordable for you to be able to put your deer in your man cave, whether it's on your gun cabinet, your gun safe, your truck, the wall, a refrigerator, wherever you want to put the decal. They also do t-shirts, which they did have at ATA, which was super cool. I mean, who wouldn't want to wear their trophy buck around and tell all their buddies when they missed deer all year long, and hey, look at this, guys. So super cool guys. If you do go on and order something, if you put in hashtag RRC, which is our hashtag, they will know that you bought it from hearing it from us, which we would greatly appreciate. And if you go on their website, they have a bunch of different deer that there's some deer that they have done as far as decals that are well-known bucks. The Woody buck, there's some that were in the booth and I can't remember all of the names, but definitely check these guys out. I mean, I think the biggest sticker they make is $69 or $79, and don't quote me on that because I don't remember the exact pricing, but it's all on the website, and that's a pretty big decal. I think it's actually a little bit bigger than this guy. And then they do some smaller ones, so maybe you just want something small to put on your laptop or on your toolbox in the garage. These guys can make it happen for you. So definitely check these guys out. Again, it's TAGit, capital T, capital A, capital G, the word it, and tell them Rack and Rod Chronicles sent you. I can't wait to get more done. I'm hoping that my kids shoot some more deer this coming season. I'm hoping that I get something that has a story to it. I would love to have another one done. I know a good friend of mine who actually was in the Quest Hunt tournament, shot a beautiful 12. He scouted this deer early last year, ended up shooting it first or second week of archery season. Right now I believe they're tied for first in Pennsylvania, and I'll know more come this weekend because that's when they're doing the banquet to tell who the winners are. But definitely, again, TAGit Decals. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they have their website. Go on, place your order, get your trophy made into something that you can keep in the house, keep on your truck, keep somewhere to always remind you of that hunt. It's cool when you have the ability to shoulder mount or year mount a deer, but when you can literally showcase your trophy elsewhere and let other people see it and ask the question, oh, what's that buck? Oh, that buck, I killed that buck in, and it gives you the ability to retell that story all the time. So guys, check them out. Tell them Rack and Rock Chronicles send you, and we will see you in episode 16.